it up for Big Daddy Laugh a Lot.
Thank you so much. This is the disability part of the show. I took a picture so I can identify y'all in case y'all snitch on me. So I'm gonna find out who y'all is. But I ain't the fat dude she was talking about trying to sell her something. So y'all heard her when she said that, right? But let me tell y'all what happened to me last weekend. Woo! I went horseback riding. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Shut up! Yeah, shut up! Don't laugh! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I got on the horse. The horse was named Thunder. He said, when you get on Thunder, he said, you say, giddy up, and Thunder will take off. You say, whoa, the Thunder will stop. I got on Thunder. I said, giddy up. Thunder, wide open. I said, oh Lord, the seat came loose. I twisted sideways. I was riding down, I said, I'm about to die. Oh Lord, I said, hold up! Thunder didn't stop. I was riding. I said, Lord, I'm about to die. I was getting, I was riding, you hear me? But I was so glad when that man came out of Kmart and pulled that plug out the wall. I know the way y'all to die riding on Maria this. They were like, he rode a horse, Maria? Hold that, bro. And then see, I knew I was gonna be fat when I was growing up. Cause we was in school and everybody would ask what they want to be. They asked little Johnny, say, Johnny, what you want to be? Johnny said, I want to be a fireman. They said, that's good. Johnny said, I want to put out fires, save lives. Say, Terrence, what you want to be? Terrence said, I want to be a police. Say, Mary, what you want to be? She said, I want to be a nurse. They said, Jerry, what you want to be? I said, I want to work at McDonald's on the French fries. I want French fries, you hear me? They were like, well, we know what you're going to be. Fat, that what you said? And then when they played cops and robbers, I couldn't be a cop because I couldn't catch the robber. I couldn't be a robber because I couldn't get away from the cop. I ain't up been a witness. I told on everybody, there he is right there, there he is. Look him up, he going to jail. I told on everybody, my mama, everybody, I was saying, there he go. I got this down pack, I'm on the front porch. I was like, this is all right with me. I ain't got to do nothing, stand right here. Aaliyah said we weren't going to talk about nobody. That's her. But I talk about everybody. Because I'm already fat. I ain't got nothing to lose. But they was like, that's all they gonna say. You ain't that fat boy. I already know that. Stephen wanted to see this. And the Bible says the Lord won't put no more than you can bear. And I'm standing here looking like a full bear. A grizzly bear, a polar bear, a black bear. I like, that ain't right. Say, lay aside every weight. I've been trying. But let me tell y'all, this lady tricked me in the grocery store. They go, y'all clap it up for Keenan Iron Wave right there. Keenan Iron Wave, right there. Keenan Iron Wave. Damon Wayans, brother, right there. Turn your head down a little bit. Just turn your head down just a little bit. Your head is shining. I'm telling you, what they put on your car wax on your head? Your head is shining. Let's go. Turn right there toward the light a little bit over there, toward the light. But let me tell you how that woman tricked me in the grocery store. She walked up to me, she said, hey, how you doing? She said, you so cute with your little fat self. You remind me of my son. She said, I got a son named Daniel, and I love him to death. And we used to come to the grocery store all the time together. And every time I get to the cash register, And we would play this game, and when I get to the cash register, I have a buggy full of groceries, and I get to the cash register, and he'll be standing back over in the corner. He'll say, "Bye, Mom," and I'll say, "Bye, son." And I'll go into the car, and I'll wait for him. He'll come on out. We did that because we just started so cute. We played like we were scrunks, like we didn't know each other, and he just, I was like, oh, that was so cute. She was like, you know what? I would feel so honored if I get to the cash register and you say, "Bye, Mom," and I say, "Bye, son." I'll feel like that's my son talking to me. Will you do that for me? Now I'm a sucker. I was like, yes, ma'am. I'm thinking, I'm in there, right? I'm in there. I got my look on and everything. I'm ready to tell my mama bye. This old lady, she got about $100-something over grocery. She done pushed up to the cash register. They ringing the old lady up, so I'm standing by there. I got a loaf of light bread, a pack of lonely meat, some mayonnaise, and some Minute Maid juice. I got my little $20 in my hand. I know it ain't gonna cost no more than that. So the old lady was getting ready to go out the store. And she turned around and looked at me. I said, "Bye, Mom." She said, "Bye, son." I said, "Love you." She said, "Love you too." I got up to the cash register. They rung my stuff up. Bing, 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 bing. That woman said $193. I said, "You been telling me a $2 pack of bologna, a $3 loaf of bread, $1.79 mayonnaise, and $1.69 juice come up to $193. She looked me straight in the face and said, "Your mama said you were gonna pay for it when you got up here." That's what she told me. I ran outside, that old lady was in the car about, "Bye, son!" And she speeded off. I was like, you know what, the devil is busy. She don't trick me. And listen, I don't go to church and fall out at nobody's church, because I know ain't nobody gonna catch me. And y'all know when black people get ready to shout, y'all know the look. You better say it, Pastor. You know it's about to happen, don't you? I did that. The usher was standing like this with the towel. And I said, "She gonna catch me." I couldn't believe it. So I went to fall back. She was already laying down. She had covered herself up. So, but then this other big dude, he came in there, and I was trying to warn him. I was like, "Psst. Psst. Hey. Don't fall." I said, "Get him. Get him." The lady said, "Baby, if he in the spirit, he ain't gonna get hurt. Let him go head on." He was up there, he said, "Woo. Woo." I said, "What are you doing? The butterfly?" And then he had thick thighs. So he tried to do the crisscross applesauce. If you don't know what the crisscross applesauce is, that's when you try to cross your legs and bring them back real quick. But if you got thick thighs, it don't work good. So he tried it. So he tried to cross his leg and bring him back. And when he tried to bring him back, he had on the ushering shoes. The quartet shoes, the big long shoes with the pull on the end of it. And it got caught in his pants. So he was spinning around and he was going down. And the lady said, "He gonna be all right. He gonna be all right. He gonna be all right." But he finally hit the floor. I was like, that's the longest fall I ever seen. Cause he was grabbing tail and everything. He was trying to save his own life. But when he hit the floor, y'all ain't gonna believe what happened. Y'all say what happened? What happened? Glad y'all asked. Some M&Ms and a Snicker box jumped out his coat pocket. I got excited. I ran over there and laid beside him. I said, "Can I get this Snicker box?" He said, "When I come out the spirit," I said, "How long you think you're gonna be down here?" Now see, and this thing about doing comedy, see, people be sitting there looking at you crazy. See, they kept looking at me, he was like, he just saying, "Well, how he gonna do comedy?" They see me walking with that stick. But see, I'm trying to get my disability. I gotta keep the stick with me. And I heard, let me tell you something. I feel there's a strong presence of weed in here right now. I feel the horses are moving right now. Glory to God. I heard a pastor preach for 30 minutes, but didn't know he was talking about hell. Y'all want to hear how it go? I'm going to give you the short version of it. He said, if your track have slid back, if your extension have not been mentioned, you can't do it, you can glue it. Lord, if you can't grow it, you can sow it. Weaving man do it for a night, but long hair come in the morning. Somebody need to tell them. Somebody stole the DJ Nick. Somebody put y'all head toward it. Where is the DJ Nick at? Hell, why you play music? Can't sing. My grandson got kicked out of kindergarten, trying to be a thug. They asked the little girl, say, "What sound does a cat make?" She said, "Meow." Asked the little boy, say, "What sound do a cow make?" Little boy say, "Moo, moo, moo." Asked my grandson, say, "What sound do a pig make?" He say, "Freeze, get on the ground." I forgot to about it. I said, he was raised in the hood. He was raised in Then we in Sunday school. They asked him, they said, now, Jesus fed the multitude with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. I say he fed the multitude with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. That's the little girl say, "What did you get out of it?" She said, "Jesus don't like to see nobody hungry." Ask my grandson. Wasn't nobody black, because then nobody having no hot sauce and mustard. I said, look at that. How you get that out of this? How you get that out of this? See, I said, I don't even claim it no more. He said, "I love my granddaddy." Yes, I do. I love him because he's shaped like Winnie the Pooh. I said, what? I had to go home and Google Winnie the Pooh. I had to be looking like that little bear with his shirt raised all the way up his back. And let me tell you, I'm coming through the airport. I'm coming from London, right? And as I'm coming from London, I come through the airport, international airport. I'm coming through, and I'm walking. I think I'm important right now because I don't mean to cross the waters. Okay, bloke. You know what I'm saying, bloke? This man looked at me and said, "Hey, my son like to take a picture with you." little son. Little boy about 7 years old. I said, how you know me? I said, boy, I'm getting famous and famous. I said, little boy, the kids know me now. He said, yeah, he loved you in that movie you played in. I ain't playing no movie. Yes, you did. I said, what movie? He said, you know that movie where you played all them characters? I said, no. I said, you better not. You better not. You better not. He said, you was all them different characters. I said, what characters? He said, you were the grandma. You were the daddy. And you was some more people. I said, what movie that? That man looked me straight in the face. What movie I'm talking about? Y'all know the movie too then, huh? So that's y'all think I'm look like Nutty Professor. That was him. Y'all, that's jacked up. Man said I look like Nutty Professor. He said, listen, I know you're not Nutty Professor, but if you take a picture with my grandson, I'll give you $500. I looked that man straight in the face and said, what you say? He said, I'll give you $500. Y'all, I looked that man right in the face. I said, sir, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. What y'all thought I was paying that money down? Y'all looked at me like I was going to say you weren't going to take it. The devil never lied. Ain't fooling with me. And then I be trying to do stuff. I be trying to work out. But y'all can tell that ain't working out good. All my life I had to fight. I don't want to fight no more. But let me tell y'all, I was at the gym and I was on the elliptical. And y'all know them britches y'all get from Walmart that make you sweat. Y'all know the little suit. Y'all know? Yeah, sauna suit. I put the suit on and I was walking and my legs was rubbing together. And say, I said, somebody follow me. I speeded up, I said, they're gonna kill me. Every time I stopped, I said, you know what? He must be a lyncher. He'll disappear. So I was on the elliptical, and the Mexican man, he said, go faster, my friend. Go faster. I said, he said, go faster. I said, mind your business, Jose. I said, go faster. I said, man, go ahead now. And I messed around and I towed the pants, but they had got my underclothes wet and they was twisted up in there. And I was like, oh God. I said, how am I gonna get these out from under there? Ooh. I said, Lord, I said, Lord. He said, any man lack wisdom, let him ask you. I said, ooh. I said, so when I got to the car, he said, bend over and put your hand in your pocket like you were praising God and reach for the rim. And when you grab the rim, say, thank you, and shout and pull them out. I'll holler, thank you, and I pulled and tore the whole suit off. I was standing out in the parking lot with my underwear and my shoes on. I said, that must have been Peter must have came and told me that to bike. That wasn't the Lord. Then we doing Zoom, right? My pastor told me, he said, Jerry, I want you to read. Y'all remember when COVID was coming and everybody had to do Zoom at home by the church? Right. Y'all liked that y'all could be at home with the top, sit in your shorts. Like that, put the money on the counter and go back and get it back. Like you paid your tithe. I was doubling up on my tithe. I'm like, look at this blessing. Bam! I was going to Creflo Dollar Church. I went to TDJ Church. I was going to Pastor Henderson Church. I went to some more local churches. I was at everybody's service. I was speaking. Ain't nobody ever speak back though. But so me and my pastor, we was on Zoom, right? And we had to get out your way. Don't be trying to creep up me like an assassin. Got all black on like she about to jump me. My home was sitting here in the front like you like, yeah, all right there, big boy. I will fall on him. He will be skinny. I'll shoot his shoes off. So let me tell y'all what happened. So I'm doing Zoom, right? And while we doing Zoom, Sister Betty had roaches. And 2 of them crawled across the screen while we had Zoom going on. Pastor told me, say, go over there and tell them they got roaches. I said, you the pastor? You go tell them. He said, no, you the elder, you supposed to do that. I said, okay. So I went over there next day, I said, Sister Betty. She said, yeah, how can I help you, Elder Cook? How can I help you? I said, well, can I come in for a minute? I don't want to talk out here in the pool. I don't want to try to embarrass you. You can't embarrass me, sugar. So I came on in the house. I said, listen, when we had Zoom, you had roaches crawl across your screen. She told me, she said, listen, everything in my house is anointed, including the roaches. I said, say what? She said, like I said, everything in my house is anointed, including the roaches. So when she said that, it was 2 roaches crawled on the floor. So I went to stump the 2 roaches, trying to be a good servant. The roach grabbed my shoe and pushed it in the air and said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And then roach is on that. My name Big Daddy. Follow me on social media, Jerry Cook.
All right, y'all make some noise once again for Big Daddy Laugh Alive. The stage is kind of wobbly. Y'all ready for the night? Y'all ready? Y'all ready for the man of the hour? All right, make some noise. Act like it is. Come on, man. All right. Y'all give it up for light-skinned Bobby Brown. Make some noise.
Y'all can keep clapping, y'all ain't gotta stop. Happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. All right, it's beautiful, beautiful seeing y'all up here, man. Before I get into anything too deep, I just want to say one thing. It's 2023. All this technology out here, ain't no need of nobody running around here with their breath smelling like it smell, but it ain't smelling right, okay? Because I went to the dentist the other day and had to get a tooth pulled, and my mouth was hurting me so bad, I said, well, you know, if you got to snatch all these teeth out my mouth for me to get some relief, snatch all of them out, you know. But he said, well, we can save your tooth with a root canal. I asked him how much it was. He told me. I said, well, you can save it, sell it, draw interest on it as far as I'm concerned, but you better get this tooth out my mouth. You know? So they pulled the tooth out my mouth. I leave, and as I'm going through the lobby, there was this lady there. She had a mask on. And she said, hello. And her breath went through the mask. Now you got to have some horrible breath for your breath to go through the mask. Her breath was so bad it knocked me down to one knee. She thought I was trying to propose. I said, no, if we was together, we'd only be together until breath do us part. That's when I grabbed my Bible and I said, Proverbs 18:21 said, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Sanitize your mouth before you kill somebody up in here. You know. And my name is really Bobby Brown, for those that are wondering, those that haven't seen me.
And a lot of people be asking me all the time about that, but they tease me and try to be funny, you know what I mean? That's what gets me, you know. That's nice that your mama named you after Bobby Brown from New Edition. In order for my mother to name me after Bobby Brown from New Edition, they would have had to come out with Candy Girl when they was like 3 years old. You ain't the real Bobby Brown. I beg your pardon. You better look at my birth certificate, you know. Mine says Bobby Brown on it. His says Robert, you know. And the insult that they give me the most is when they say, why do you call yourself Bobby Brown? What you mean, why? When you ask me why, that's insinuating that I made my name up, right? If you want to know why my name is what it is, ask my mama. That was her prerogative. I had nothing to do with it. Put your hand up, mama. Her prerogative. Ask her. My mama's still alive. Thank you, Jesus. I remember when I moved from New York to Georgia, which is where I live now. You know, I had to change over my driver's license. And you know when you go to the DMV, you got to give them people all kind of ID just to get you some ID. You might have to give them a blood sample, urinalysis, earwax, a booger, you know. But they called up my number, you know, I give them my birth certificate, social security card, my high school diploma, my driver's license from New York. They have my height, weight, date of birth picture, and my name on it. Now this lady got all this identification in her hand. Don't you know she still looked at me and asked me, is Bobby Brown your real name? I said, no, it's really DMX, and you're going to make me lose my mind up in here. You know. And I remember when Bobby and Whitney was together, you know, people was coming to me like I was the Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston expert every time they got into something, you know. Somebody asked me why was they together. I said, opposites attract, you know. She light-skinned, he dark-skinned. She came from a solo act, he came from a group. She had driver's license, he didn't have no driver's license. She got Grammys, he run around there with Soul Train Awards. Opposites attract, I can't say no more than that, you know. But it took for their divorce to let me see that these people was crazy. It took their divorce, because they was together for 14 years and couldn't hold it together, you know. And it wasn't the drugs or extracurricular activity that made me think that they was crazy. It's just that they did the whitest thing that you can ever do. The ink ain't even dry on the divorce papers, and they talking about they gonna try to be the best of friends for the sake of their child. I don't know no black people that do that. I've been divorced from my ex-wife for 19 years. We ain't friends. She could get hit by a Greyhound bus. I ain't gonna be the first one at the hospital. That's all I'm saying, you know. The time to be friends is before your marriage, during your marriage, and maybe after some time go by, then you can be friends, you know. I mean, I remember my divorce like it was yesterday. And the only thing I wanted from my divorce was joint custody of my children. Especially between January and April, because I need some dependents for that earned income. We standing there before the judge, she gonna get, you know, look, cocky to me. You never miss your water till your well run dry. I said, that's good, because I got tap water in my house if I run out of water, because I don't pay the water bill, you know. And nobody gets married to get a divorce. Nobody gets married to get a divorce, but you can't make it work by yourself, you know. And I don't care, you know, if you're going through anything traumatic with your significant other, you can't listen to no slow music. You don't get into your emotions, you know. I walked out of the courtroom, jumped in my car, and got a speeding ticket. Now I listen on my radio. I keep my radio on sports, you know, or talk radio. I don't listen to that much music unless it's 80s hip hop or something like that, you know. But I forgot to have my car washed, and somebody changed the dial to the gospel channel. And an old Negroid spiritual came on. I'm Just a Nobody by the Williams Brothers. Now you know that's a positive song. I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. I couldn't get past the I'm just a nobody part. I'm driving down the street, speed limit is 65, I'm doing 85. I'm just a nobody. I'm just a nobody. I'm just a nobody. Speed limit on the interstate, 70 miles an hour. I'm doing 85, other cars going past me like I'm sitting still. So when I look into the rearview mirror, see that the police is behind me instead of people going faster than me, I say, he gonna give me a ticket anyway. I made that joker chase me 23 miles before I stopped. Only reason I stopped there because I ran out of gas. Officer gonna run up to the window talking about, didn't you see me behind you? I said, yeah, I saw you. He said, well, why didn't you stop? I said, my ex-wife left me for a cop. I thought you was that brother trying to bring that trifling woman back. I tried to offer him a Dunkin' Donut to get out of the ticket, you know. He gonna eat the Dunkin' Donut, that was delicious. But if you had Krispy Kreme, I'd have let you off with a warning. Write me a ticket, told him I have a nice day. Man, my day went from bad to worse. You know, write me a ticket, have a nice day, man. And I got depressed after my divorce, man, you know. It's one thing to drink, you know, and be civil. It's another thing to drink, you know, you got something on your mind, you know what I mean? It got so bad for me, you know, that my boy Reg came over to the house, you know. He said, move on with your life, B. Move on with your life. I'm gonna hook you up. Have you ever had a blind date? I said, I might have went out with a few women that had cataracts, but I ain't never went out with nobody that was blind. I went out with a crippled girl one time, you know. I didn't know she was crippled till I got over there, you know. Because all the pictures she was sending from the waist up, you know, looked good on the computer. But I got over there, you know what I mean, rang the doorbell, you know, she's sitting in the wheelchair, you know. I tried to be a gentleman, you know, make the best out of a surprising situation. Push her around in the wheelchair, you know. Engage in good conversation, you know. And the date went better than I expected, so I asked her for a second date. She told me no. When I asked her why, you know what she told me? Told me she ain't like the way I roll. Catch up with me, slow people. Somebody I don't strike her as the type that can help her get on her feet. You're in a wheelchair, you know what I mean? And it threw me off because the conversation was so good, you know what I mean? We sitting around, she said, what do you do when you ain't telling jokes? I said, I drive trucks. She said, do you like it? I said, well, I don't do nothing but sit all day. She said, that's all I do. I said, I don't do nothing but sit there and hold the wheel. She said, that's all I do, you know. And I had gotten beyond the fact that she was in a wheelchair, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, you know, we could be something. Especially on a day like today, you know. I could go to the Golden Corral and then got to drive all over the parking spot, you know, because she got the sticker, you know. I'm thinking like that. Hold on, let me get some water right here. The lips chapping up. That water's good for the soul. Yeah, but I'm sitting up there thinking about, you know, I said, well, if we got together, we can move in with each other, you know. I ain't got to worry about her being short on the bill. Yeah, she in a wheelchair. I know she getting 100% disability, you know what I'm saying? She even told me she wanted to be a comedian. I said, well, tell me a joke, you know. She said, well, if Dracula had a favorite gospel song, what would it be? I said, I don't know, you know. If Dracula had a favorite gospel song, what would it be? She said, I knew it was the blood, you know. But after she told me she didn't want to go out with me no more, you know, I said, well, it ain't like you gonna be the last comic standing nowhere. You know? Real talk, man. It's real talk, man. And I mean, I went out with another lady that had a bad leg. You know, she had a prosthetic leg. You know, it's not a deal breaker, you know. I didn't know she had a prosthetic leg to the end of the day, money. I get out the car, you know, to go open the door for her. She stuck her leg out and the leg fell off. We ain't never go out again, you know. Y'all ain't gonna ask me why we ain't never go out again. It's obvious she was missing some screws, you know what I'm saying? But I am single though, you know, I'm single, you know what I'm saying? And I hate being single, man. Don't it seem like when you're with somebody, it seems like everybody wants you? Because I know when I was with somebody, everybody wanted me. As soon as I became single, didn't nobody want me. You ever be by yourself so long, you got that one friend to take it upon themselves to, you know, try to play matchmaker? I got somebody I want you to meet. She got a nice house, nice car, nice job. She ain't got no kids. And you be saying to yourself, well, what's wrong with her? You know, she's sick, you know, why you trying to introduce her to me for, you know? Then you ask, it could be like a hesitation. She's okay. You don't need to be worried about how she looks. You need to be worried about her personality. The devil is a lie. I ain't never walked up to no woman and said, girl, I noticed you from across the room by your personality. I ain't never did that. And people be telling me I'm shallow, you know, because I feel like that. You know, looks ain't everything, but it gets the conversation started for your boy. That's all I'm saying, you know. And the people that be sitting up there saying that I'm shallow, you know, I ain't never heard them say, you know, I think Flavor Flav will make me a good husband, you know. But they want to tell me I'm shallow, you know. But light-skinned Bobby Brown ain't going to settle. Because if I didn't learn anything else from watching The Color Purple, the one thing I did learn is I ain't going to settle. That's right. Because Mr. originally went over there to get natty and walked out of there with CD player. How did that work? Huh? Hello, somebody. And you got to vet people now. You know, you got to vet them too when you go out, you know. Got this young lady's phone number, you know, and I called her up, you know what I'm saying, and I said, well, tell me about yourself, you know. She said she was God-fearing. Check. She said she can cook. Check. All right. She said not only can she cook, but she'll cook her husband breakfast in bed. I said, hold it, wait a minute. I ain't gonna be your husband. I watch too much Forensic Files. I need to see what you're putting in my food, you know, right on there. Tell me some more stuff, you know. She said she want a man that made her feel secure. I said, well, if we go out on a date, I hope you don't mind sitting in the back seat. Why do I gotta sit in the back seat if we go out on a date? I said, well, I ain't got no security system on my house, but that child safety lock can keep you nice and secure as long as you sit back in the back seat, you know. Then she said, well, tell me about yourself. I said, well, I'm a homeowner. I got a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on a half-acre of land. I got job stability. I make 6 figures a year. I ain't got no kids that stay with me. You know, I guess she wasn't listening because she gonna say to me, what do you bring to the table? I thought it was a trick question. I said, I bring a knife and fork to my table. Come on, have you ever cheated? I said, yes. She said, why? I said, I didn't want to repeat the 12th grade. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I just didn't believe he brought me that far to leave me. You know. She said, do you believe in chivalry? I said, yeah, you know, I send flowers to the job just because, you know, I open the car doors for my woman, I pull out the dinner table chair. She said, so if we walking down the street and there's a puddle on the ground, would you take off your coat and cover up the puddle so I can walk across your puddle? I said, you better use your athletic ability and hop your behind the road. So if we walking down the street, you know, and it's cold outside, would you give me your coat so I can stay warm? I said, with all this technology out here, you got the opportunity to look at the Weather Channel just like I do before we go on this date. I believe in chivalry, not stupidity. Do you understand me? You know, you got to vet these people now, you know. So then she said, do you have any deal breakers? I said, yeah, I got a few, you know. Tell me. I said, well, you know, I might not like the way some people walk, you know. I might not like the way some people talk. For instance, I called this young lady one time, you know, I said, how you doing, you know. I'm Gucci. Whoa, wait a minute right there. Gucci is a bag, baby. That ain't no vocabulary that no 50 and 40 something year old should be using. That's a turnoff, you know. I don't like a woman that'll text me all day, but then when I call her, you know, she can't put 2 paragraphs together, you know. Or either getting mad at me because I ain't texting back right away. You know, that's a deal breaker. But the main deal breaker that I got, I don't care who you are, how fine you are, how fine you think you are, is when they do that little snorkel thing. I don't know what you call it, but that's what I call it, you know. Like you be on the phone with somebody and every 5 minutes they talking about, oh, whoa, what's up? You better spit that stuff out. I can understand if you sick or something, but don't you be on the phone every 5 minutes. No, you messed the relationship up before it got started right there. We ain't doing that right there. I need a spit cup right now. Lord, mercy. Deal breakers, man. But yeah, man, it's hard being out there. When the Lord send me somebody, I have me somebody, amen. That and it's getting hot out here right now. You know, it's getting hot out here. I don't like the summer. You know, I don't know if y'all like the summer, but I don't like the summer for several reasons. Not just because of the heat. I just get tired of women invite me to the cookouts and they get mad because I don't bring nothing to the cookout. I don't understand y'all ladies, you know what I'm saying? How you gonna invite me, that's the key word, to your cookout and then expect me to bring something? You know? I mean, I got food in my house. I got plenty of food in my house. I ain't missing no meals. You can see that right there, you know. But I done got to the point where if somebody asked me to, you know, to come to the cookout, I sit up there, you know, and I say, well, do you want me to bring something? This young lady invited me to a cookout. I said, well, you want me to bring something? She said, just bring whatever. I bought some aluminum foil to the cookout. And overheard somebody talking about me and my aluminum foil. Girl, you don't want to get with him. He cheap. He didn't bring nothing but some aluminum foil. Who told her that I bought the aluminum foil? I zoomed in on her because I knew she was going to make a to-go plate at some point, you know. Sure enough, 2 hours later, she's standing over there at the table with 2 little plastic plates. Put a hot dog on there, hamburger, pasta salad, potato salad, fried fish. Yeah, this was a good cookout. You know, putting all that on there. As soon as she reached for the aluminum foil, I snatched my aluminum foil. You ain't gonna use my aluminum foil and then talk about me too. We ain't gonna do that. Got me messed up around here, man, you know. And I hate the summer for that, man. I say one more thing, you know. Don't take life so serious, you know what I mean? Some people take life too serious. I tell jokes about people that's 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. I don't care. They just jokes. Don't take this stuff personal. Like I'm a Stevie Wonder fan. Today is what, May 14th. Yesterday was May 13th, Stevie Wonder birthday. I went on my social media a few years ago, and I put on my social media, I said, today is Stevie Wonder's birthday. I was gonna give him a shout out, but I changed my mind because I knew he wasn't gonna see it anyway. And catch up with me again, slow people. Somebody DM me talking about that ain't funny. I said, well, funny to me, that's why I put it up there. You know? And just because they said that, I gave them another joke about Stevie Wonder. I said, you know, Stevie Wonder is a believer. Did y'all know that Stevie Wonder is a believer? He ain't got no seeing eye dog. He ain't in no wheelchair. He ain't limping. You know how I know he's a believer? Because Stevie Wonder walked by faith. He sure ain't walking by sight. Catch up with me again, slow people. Don't get offended. All right, man, I'm gonna close this up, man. I'm gonna close this up. Anybody registered to vote? Everybody registered to vote? Well, if you ain't, go get registered. Because we can't have Trump in there again, man. We can't do it. Because when he was in office the last time, somebody asked me, what did I think about Trump? And I said he was fruity. Fruity. Because as soon as he got the job, he saw it wasn't all peaches and cream. Everything out of his mouth, sour grapes. Anybody that make fun of sexual assault victims, plum dumb. Him and his administration made one messed up pair. Even though he's a rotten, first orange president, that brother's a rotten apple. If I had my way with him, I'd force feed him prunes, because you know he's full of, well, that's my time. Light skin background, y'all get good. Now, thank y'all again for coming out, man. Thank y'all. Give it up for your host, Aaliyah Ford. Jerry Cook is my cousin, Jerry Cook. DJ Paul. And my cousin Will is back there on the camera, believe it or not. He just light-skinned, but he's our cousin. You know? Yeah. And I want to say happy Mother's Day, all Pam. I see Pam out there, India. My mama. I love my mama, boy, I do. My mama didn't even have a 9-to-5 job, but I knew she had good credit. Because one day, you know, I got to mess around the food line. She said, I owe you a beating. I said, Mama, don't mess your credit up on me. I knew she had good credit because I still got that beating, you know. Your mama had good credit too. I'll be good. Yeah, but I want to thank y'all sincerely, my sisters. Everybody came on, my grandkids, my daughters. Lonnie, my dad, Greg. Kim always came out to support, you know, Miss Evangelist Pam, you know, my man Bishop, everybody that came out means a lot, you know, because this is for streaming network. So we're gonna make it, you know, try to bring something different, you know, out there that's clean, you know, because we can do comedy either way. A lot of people, you know, feel like, you know, you got to curse every time you grab the mic, and we don't necessarily have to do that, so this is why we do what we do.